When you were a kid, did you ever cringe when your parents would say, "We're going to your grandparents"? The thought of boredom set off in your mind and you're quickly looking for a way out or things to take with you so you don't have to hear yet another story of theirs? Well, that was me anyway. But there does come a time where life throws a curveball and says, hey, you better appreciate what you have and the time you have with it. I was lucky to have met both my grandmas as a teenager. However, I never got to meet my grandpas. So as much as I cringed when younger, I did always wonder who they really were, where they came from, what their stories were. I had no idea. All I remember was I wanted to escape from my culture, the restrictions, and enjoy just being a kid and at least try to fit in. The concept of who I was swung from one extreme to the next. I was born in Australia and both my parents were migrants from Lebanon, coming to Australia at an early age. And so I had two different worlds as a kid and couldn't quite work out how to fit in. It's not until later in life we tend to appreciate and see the value in knowing about the people that made you. Welcome to Stories from the Elders. I'm your host, Melinda Nassif. This is my first podcast series, and I wanted to create a platform that brings together our elders' stories, share their wisdom, and how we can learn from each other and remind ourselves to stay connected and ask, what is the point of it all? Our elders have lived so much more of life, and yet they can often be left behind. So why not spend some time and hear them after all? Their experiences, their minds, and their given right to their opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. Just a conversation and see where it takes us. When approaching some of our elders, I was often asked, why do you want to interview me? What's interesting about my story? I'm just an ordinary person. Well, that's just it. I wanted a platform that did just that, to share stories with the ordinary, everyday elderly person. There is great value in sharing and listening to each other. So I hope you enjoy this podcast series and makes you have a good old banter with the elders around you. They may have a story or two to tell. Stories from the Elders is brought to you by the Northern Beaches Council. Thank you to them as well as RSL Care Life and all the elderly people I have been fortunate enough to have a conversation with. If you would like to hear more and support, please go to www.storiesfromtheelders.com. You can find all details in the show notes and also check out your podcast provider for more episodes. So without further ado, let's get into it. In this episode, I'm beginning this journey with my mother. One thing I'm fortunate with is to be able to hear my mum's life story. I'm so thankful to have had such a strong influence from my mum and to have had the time to really get to know her more. It must have been so tough for her to come to Australia at such a young age and without her family, to start a new life and create her own. And I hope you too can learn a bit about my mum's life journey, thoughts and stories. And speaking of the angel, here she is.
Hi.
Hi, Mum. So let's begin first with perhaps introducing yourself, where you're born.
Yes, my name is Jamal. I was born in Lebanon. I was immigrated to Australia at the age of 16 with my husband, and we have 5 children.
And do you want to mention for the listeners out there where you were born, perhaps paint us a picture of what it was like for you?
I was born in a little village called Kafra, and the highest village in Lebanon. The weather is so beautiful there. You feel like you're close to sky, and at night we could see the star are bigger, unusual. I haven't seen it anywhere else because I feel like you're gonna reach out to it. If you go up to the top of the mountain, you see like you up and up in the cloud. We see the plane was really down below. Couldn't believe how high it was. The mountain is not too far from the city. In 1.5 hours you get there or under, depends where you're going. And you can see, like if you're in the city, you can see the mountain how high they are. And you look at the other side, you can see the Mediterranean Sea, how big it is.
Beautiful. And do you remember your home there in the village?
In Kafra, where my parents have a beautiful home, like all stone, multicolor stone, magnificent color, and huge. It's over 125 years, but it's like a brand new now. You still like you can't believe it's that age. The air inside is so cold, like you have air condition, and those days we didn't have any air condition. But in summer, we lots of people come to visit us and say, "Oh, it's so beautiful here in your place because it's cooler than anywhere else." Outside the house, We surrounded by orchard full of different kind of fruit. All different kind of fruit, 2-3 kind of each. Cherry, grapes, plum, apple, pears, apricot, you name it. A blueberry, raspberry. It's like, you go to, how you say, animals, something paradise. You go there and pick up what you want to eat.
Yeah.
And so delicious because no chemical, everything organic as a food, vegetable and fruit. And the people so healthy, you wouldn't believe the look at their face, so energetic.
So refreshing, and sounds like there was such a great sense of community spirit, sharing and supporting each other.
Village people very, very kind to one another, and they help each other. People there, they swap. My mom was a dressmaker, and people, they can't afford to give anything. They give like vegetable, like beans, dry beans, or fresh beans. They dry it for winter. So mom used to swap it because we are 9 children and she need that. It was like really benefit both sides. It was just really, really good. In the village, like a big happy family. They help each other. We used to be so happy. We could not wait to go up there. Freedom for the children to play everywhere. I tell you, I have wonderful upbringing. I have really good memory with my relative, with my cousin running around. We go all day long if we want to. Mom didn't worry about it because all the village around like big family. So if I'm leaving my home to go out, it's another family, auntie or uncle or neighbor, or we all like family. Didn't have to worry like when we come to the city, we have to be different, strict. Where we going, what we doing, like exactly like here in Australia. We got to ask the children where you go. But in the village was fantastic.
And what about the produce, like the food in the village and that kind of thing?
In the village, a lot of people preserve the summer product, fruit, vegetable, or even meat. They used to like have a lot of meat and mince it really fine and with little bit fat, and put more salt. So this meat can last all winter or half the winter, but they have all natural preservative with salt in or vinegar or whatever. They make their own jam, and the jam lasts years, 2-3 years. And they make from the yogurt, they make a different kind of, like they make yogurt and then they strain the yogurt to make it like labni, we call it. And really, you can eat it with the olive oil and a bit salt with our Lebanese bread, or you can dry it further and make it like a circle and put it in olive oil and salt, and this lasts all the winter.
And was that because it snowed quite heavily in winter, so they couldn't always get food?
Yeah, because it's last and preservative in the right way, because half the spring mom usually go up and check who can take care of the property we have. And when the school finished, we used to go up as a children, go to the village with my older sister.
And so did you grow up in Baba Kafra or in the city too?
We grew up in the city, we were educated there, but the 3 months we go to the holiday. But it's just like, it's a beautiful, you just sort of they have nourishment of the food and the water, and you feel like you really gain a lot of good health. And when you go back to the city, it's just like you feel like you're gonna keep going healthier because you have those 3 months and relax and happy, eat the right food, and that's what will give you a lot of energy to go back, put up with the study in the city weather.
And so can you tell us more about the Lebanese culture? One thing I love is how they celebrate. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, maybe?
Well, like village is different from the city. A city, when the celebration come, like every group of the family, they get together and they celebrate the feast in the church. If they are Christian or if they're Muslim, they celebrate in a mosque or something. Those days we respect each other. Religion, we never have a problem with religion. And as we go to village, for a few feasts for Virgin Mary as Saint and Saint Charbel, and other feasts we celebrate most of the village people go to mass and they join a dance. They dance every night for the celebration until the feast comes. Maybe sometimes they start a week before, and we usually celebrate those nights really looking forward to go dance, sharing the happiness and food, and it was fantastic. People get together and enjoy themselves, and I felt like that the people was really humble and kind to one another. It's not like they look at each other and they get bad feeling, or you don't trust people. These days it's a little bit difficult.
Can you describe what the traditional dance is in Lebanon and how they celebrate?
We have a dabki we call it. We hold hand together, and the one person, a leader, he just have sort of the same movement but extra little bit movement because he's the leader, and we follow. And the big drum was going all over the town. It's just like they can hear it from other town because it's very loud, and because it's outside, out in the air, the sound go too far from different side. And because our village on the top of the hill and so many below different villages, the sound go to different places. For example, if we celebrate for a wedding or birthday or something, everybody can celebrate with us because they can hear the music, and they say, it must be a feast for something or birthday. They can hear it and can share it with us with happiness.
That's what I loved when I went to Lebanon. They just get up and dance and play music.
The music, it's in our blood. When we hear the music, we feel like to dance and join, and we humming and singing in our own home when we hear a music from outside. Even if morning, when we hear the bell, the ting ting 3 times, we all feel really bad because who died, and we have to find out who's dying, and then when we find out, we go start to pay our respect. It's sort of we share the happiness and the sadness in the village. It's different from the city. A human being to share the love and everything. And I think it's give a peace in life when you do that.
Definitely. And such a good reminder for us today to reach out to our communities and family around us. Your family is like that too. How about you tell us more about them, actually? Perhaps you can start with your parents. What were they like?
They were just lovely people who have 9 children. 9 of us were very, very happy, because the way mom and dad raised us, very calm, and they use their way of talking, explaining things to us to make sure, we don't fight, we don't argue. Always we do that as a children, but we know where to stand with mom and dad, because when they say something, they mean it. And we know that, so we listen. It was great, growing up with big family and loving and caring for one another. No matter what, we always together, and we have lots of fun. Even till the age we grow older, we're still the same.
And you're all still the same. Actually, that was such a big eye-opener for me when I visited your family in Lebanon when I was about 15. They were just such a close unit, full of love and spirit, which gave me a massive wake-up call, because the view of Lebanon in Australia was so different to that. But anyway, so did your mum and dad grow up in Baba Gafra as well?
Yeah, grew up there. Till they get married and start to have children, because they have difficulty with mom's father, my grandfather. So they travel from one place to another. Wherever my father found a job, he worked different suburbs and different things.
Is that because of how they got married?
Because, she eloped with my dad.
Can you share that story, or do you want to? It's quite a love story, I think.
My grandfather, mom's dad, he wanted to arrange a marriage with someone a little bit richer, but my mom didn't like him. He was, she didn't fall in love with him. She was already in love with my dad. Sort of like young people, first love, they don't know. But my father was handsome and smart, and the same. My mom was really quite wise and intelligent, and they fall in love with one another. But the parents, they want different partner for each one. After her auntie convinced her to marry, but that time she was too young. My mom, she did not know anything about marriage, what's happening, this and that. Her auntie tell her, like, you don't have to be with him, just marry him in the church and come back, live with your family. Right. But she tricked her, so they get married, and when they tell her to go with her husband, like, that's life, marriage life, she was very upset. In the night, like, when they said, you can go to sleep with mom and dad now, tonight, tomorrow you go back to your husband's house, you live with him after that. She agreed with them. So when everybody went to sleep, she ran away. And cut the long story short, like, she met with my father, and he said, because she was married in a church and it's like a little bit difficult to have an announcement, do you love him? My dad asked my mom, do you love the other guy she married? She said, no. They arranged it to me and they tricked me. And I don't love him and I don't want to be with him. So eloped together. My dad's uncle, he married to my mom's auntie, where my mom most of the time spent her time there, where she met my father. He was a priest, his uncle. So he explained to him after a while they've been married, explained to me he just want to be with mom and mom want to be with him, with dad. So his cousin write a note, like a letter to the Pope in Rome to give him an announcement, because it was like not such like, because she doesn't love him and she's they was arranged her marriage and she didn't want to be with him, she loved someone else. So the Pope gave him an annulment, and after that they married in the church. But her father was very stubborn and upset with her. Why did she did that? Because those days it was difficult, the parents to accept the children not listening to them. So I think the other guy who she married to, they took her to court. But the announcement was from the Pope and it was everything official, and so she married my dad. But she was running away from the court for a while, because that's why she moved from one place to another. Till they settled between the court and them.
So incredible, really. That would have been so tough to go through all of that at such a young age. So they started a life together. So from there, how many children did they have?
12 children, but she missed 3 of them when they're babies. So none of us survived.
What did your dad do for work? And mum?
Security guard for a big company. And my mom, she dressmaker. So she carried the little sewing machine her auntie gave it to her. She taught herself how to sew by turning the clothes, put them on the fabric and cut them on exactly the same, and see how the other garment was sewed, and she sewed it and she became dressmaker. When we grown up, she make all our clothes. It was like well done. She was smart. Very smart woman.
So that's where you got it from?
That's where I got it from. I used to make your own clothes. I used to turn your clothes inside out and put the fabric down and the like table and pin, the clothes on it, and the colors exactly the same. And everybody used to ask me, where you buy your children's clothes? Because they're really unusual clothes and they really look good. That was days they dress up the children, brothers and sisters similar.
Yeah, and we used to get so embarrassed about that. And how about your grandparents? Did you know much about them?
My grandparents, I did not know much about them except my mom's mom. She was such a beautiful grandma I could ever have. So sweet and so gorgeous, and she always taught us to love. She's got so much love in her. Yeah. And she's just like, when you look at her, you just want to hug and kiss because she was so sweet.
Can you share some memories you had with your parents and some of the wisdom they may have passed on to you?
My mom was very wise. We learned a lot from her. She read, and my dad is Sami. They read. Both of them love to read. And my dad tell me, read any book. You learn the book, open your mind. And my mom, she used to have that old saying. Myself, I remember I used to say, what she's talking about. What she's talking, tell me this sign, what's that mean? Like for example, like if you're in hell, don't stop, keep walking. Okay, and I used to think, what's that mean? What she's talking like that for? I didn't understand what she's saying. And many saying like that are very valuable when you understand it. When I understood her words and his say, when I married, have children, and I start to think of those words, and that's mean a lot. I said, now I understand what she means. So I start to give it to my children, and I explain it to them as they grow older. And then I think I see my children, sometimes they use it. She never gave up saying it. 2-3 times a day or more, she keeps saying it. And that was annoying me when I was little. We understood as we grow. My mom was very smart and very intelligent, so we learned a lot from her. Very calm and very relaxed and never interfere with any of us. Never interfere in our life. Just she give us advice if we need to. She was very thoughtful person. I adored her. My dad was very, very generous and kind, loving and caring. When he came from work, he called all of us to sit around next to him to feed us what he want to be there with his children. They were very, very generous parents, and they taught us the value of life.
So beautiful. Sounds like you had lots of love growing up. I can definitely see that from you and meeting your mum and brothers and sisters. Do you know much about the ancestry of your parents?
As Lebanese people in Lebanon, we have too many different, we have the Turkish ruled in Lebanon for 400, and after Turkish, I think the French come. And they want us to speak French, to learn French as well as Arabic. And on the first war, I think we had a lot of people, a lot of soldiers from Australia. I could see, I see as I grow adult, there's a lots of looks but the
because your family's very fair, blue eyes.
Yeah. And very calm, very relaxing. It's just this kind of question we didn't really need to look at. We know our grandparents and great-grandparents, so we didn't look back. We didn't know, we don't know where we come from. We didn't think that we need to.
Fair enough. So your parents would have lived through a few wars in Lebanon. Did they ever tell you about their experience of it?
My mom remembered Second World War. My mom used to tell us that she saw famine. She saw people crawling to their village because, as I said, the people in our village used to prepare preserved food. They prepare everything all the time. And then they have enough food. And they're the only one that they didn't struggle with food like the other people. They usually see people crawling on the floor to go up to Kafra because it's really high up and really steep. Road and small. Some of them die on the road, they couldn't reach out. Some people, they just arrive and people give them food and water and to make them survive. It was really sad memory. My mom, she said, it just was terrible. We used to see it, then mom and dad give them, that poor people, we share food with them and they stay with them, work there. In our village, they didn't suffer from the famine. They had because they couldn't travel.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, survivor.
I think that's where their spirit comes from, isn't it? Their celebration of life sometimes. Because they've seen devastation.
What I like about Lebanese, I know every country have some good and bad in it, but what I like about Lebanese, they're survivors. And no matter what, they always smile. And they always found a joke to say among each other to make fun. They don't sit there miserable and sad and whinge and complain. They just live day by day, whatever come. That's really, I love that spirit.
Yeah, definitely. Even though they've been through endless wars.
They've been through a lot miserable time and they've seen people die in front of them and they don't realize people here what they've been through in Lebanon. They have a idea what they heard and the media exaggerated. It depends the media who takes side. And they make us look really ugly people, nasty people, cruel people. And sometimes I have really close a friend here or where I work, they respect me, they like me a lot and we talk. I was really hurt once. One of the teachers, he said, where are you from originally? When I said Lebanese, he completely sort of stunned and as if someone stung him and he didn't believe I was Lebanese. And I said, what's going on? What's wrong? He said, nothing, but I could see the face It just hurt me. In his eyes, I'm a good person and I'm really good, to talk to. And that all of a sudden, when I said I'm Lebanese, it's not good anymore. I didn't blame him completely, but I thought that's what he heard.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Some just go with the stereotype. Can't always believe what you hear. You have to question it and research it.
One journalist, he was Jewish, but he grew up in America, but they sent him to Lebanon to find out what's really the problem when they have the war in Lebanon. He said he's traveling, in Lebanon, interviewed a lot of people, but he could not find the truth. But one day they were traveling, him and he others a friend, a journalist, in one car, 4 of them, and 4 Lebanese army stopped them, and they were shivering, scared to death. They thought they're gonna kill them because that's what they thought of Lebanese. They're murderers, they're cruel, they're nasty, they kill without thinking. So the army people asked, "Where are you going?" "We're going to interview some people." "Where are you? What are you?" "Journalist." "Oh, okay. Where you come from?" "America." "Oh, I just want to ask you a question." One army, and that's a true story. He said yes, but he was scared. The journalist. He said, "What happened to Dallas? We haven't seen JR. What happened to JR?" It was like a show. He said, "What happened in Dallas? Did the JR die?" And they look at him and they couldn't believe he was like joking. He said, yeah, no, he didn't die. And they were both laughing. He said, "What I found out," he was having comment, "what I found out, Lebanese people, they're survivors. And no matter how hard they live, how bad, but they always found a joke to make the atmosphere lighter and happy." It's what I really like about them. The journalist, he said that. We don't carry the sadness all the time, or like if you have compassion and everything, it's still in you. But it doesn't stop us from joking and laughing, which is good. Like, it keep you going.
Yeah, well, exactly. You have to find the humour in life, don't you? So, did you ever experience the war while being in Lebanon?
I was there just to start the war. When my son, the 3rd child, was born there. So when I have to give a birth for my son, it was in Tripoli, like the city of North Lebanon. I went to the hospital to give birth, and it was like a really terrible experience. I heard the bombing and I had like loud voices and fighting, and I was so scared. And that's the beginning of the revolution. After I came back home, a few weeks, my husband, he said, "Look, it's gonna be trouble here. We better go back to Australia." And we heard it's gonna be war, and that's how we come back here. And we could not go for a long time. For 10 years, 11 years, I could not hear anything from my family. I went through lots of pain and not know if they're living or dying. And I hear the news, and the news bad. They show the explosion here and there in Lebanon. I used to sit down and cry, and I did not know if my family alive or someone hurt. And the phone line was destroyed, and I couldn't call them. And I cried because I couldn't connect with them.
The only one here from your family.
Yeah, I'm one of 9. We're very close with one another, and make it really difficult for me. I pray to God to keep them safe. That's all I could pray, because I did not know. Sometimes I wait for someone to come back from there. If they go and they come back, they send me a letter to let me know they're okay. And after 10 years, 11 years, I finally went slow down a bit. After 11 years, I went with my daughter. You?
Me?
Yeah, you were 3 years old. It was not so bad. It was calm. We got there safe and everything. When we were one day coming from Mass on Sunday, we had bombing, but I didn't notice it.
I didn't remember that.
And they all look at me to see if I'm scared. And the moment they look at me, I realized that was something not right. I said, "What was that? Was bombing? Is that was bombing? Oh my God, I'm really stressed. My stomach's stressed. Now I know what you're feeling."
Yeah.
And they all laugh. "No, don't worry. We go home now. We can be safe." We rush home, and they were cooking. That I remember that night, my favorite dish. I couldn't eat it. My stomach was really stressed. Yeah, and I couldn't eat anything. Just like I felt the pain with them all those years. So many times my younger sister go pray to Saint Charbel, and my brother's name Charbel. She could confuse say brother Charbel, my Saint Charbel, and she go under the bed to hiding from the bombing, and they were really scared. So many miserable.
They're so lucky they
survived. Yeah, thank God for that.
Did they tell you much about what they went through, or not really? They didn't worry.
They told me sometimes they hear something like
an aircraft, or was it
not
missile?
Aircraft, missile, above their houses, and they shake the whole building, and they get scared, and they don't know whether they're gonna survive or die.
Yeah, it would have been a terrible experience for them. Do you know who was attacking Lebanon?
Different group from different country. There's a group from Hezbollah, they come from Iranian, and so many different groups. I don't know all of them because I didn't live with that, but they fighting one another in Lebanon, and they're not Lebanese. And Palestinian Jewish people push Palestinian on the border of Lebanon, and our government gave them a place to live for the Palestinian. And after many years, they've been looking after them, educate their family, everything free. They want to claim South Lebanon as theirs, but the government, Lebanese government, didn't allow. So we have really hard time to understand why people push themselves in Lebanon and make it look the Lebanese people are crazy and fighting one another. But they were the other group from outside who did that. And they're very nasty and cruel, and they make because they know all the, the politician people, and they make something bad and accuse of someone else, and they make people fight with each other. And there was a lot of happening like that. I did not understand that before, but when I spoke with my brother, and he's just followed the news and everything, he said, we have no power. Well, there's one prime minister, he was young, 34. The only one was a strong-minded, because his father, he was in high position, like the leader of Al-Kataib. He was really good, and he didn't believe or listen to any other people try to manipulate him or push him or tell him what to do. Didn't listen to them. He kept defending Lebanese people and his country. They killed him.
Gosh, that's really sad.
For one, we cry for years and years. Even now, when I think of him, I feel really sad, because he was only 34. When he didn't listen to the other country decision, what they want to do in Lebanon, he stand up for them. And he make the people, he talk to them, make his voice to be heard. And a lot of people agree with him because they want to be one united country, to help each other. What they did, we don't know who. And if we do, we can't say anything because they kill. They received the punishment. So they assassinate him. They killed him at the age of 34. And people mourn him for years and years, because that was a hope, and it disappeared, that hope. And since then, we never have good hope at all. And not many years ago, probably 15 years ago, was one Muslim man. He was doing good and everything, and because he didn't listen to them, the other outsider, they bombed him. He died really into pieces. So sad. Evil people, even all the Christian people, cry for him, because he was good man and help poor people. So Lebanon been through a lot miserable time. And now they don't have the money. The people, the poor people, they're suffering. They have demonstrations. They don't understand why, because they're all highly educated, most of Lebanese people. Because
that was 2019, just
so
you know. Yeah.
They have really good education. They fluently speak 3-4 languages, and they have education. And these young people, they get really depressed and upset, and they don't understand why they go to university, and all the parents put all the money they have to educate their children. In the end, when they qualify, they can't find a job. They have to travel in different country. So these young people get together, and they have started demonstrations against the government.
It's sad, really, isn't it? They're trying so hard to have a better life, and they just can't seem to get a government that builds a strong economy for their people. But there's so much behind it all that we don't know about. So anyway, did you know what was going on with all the wars?
I didn't understand those days, but after I hear news and learning from family and everybody, the big country from around us and big country from above us, they interfere in Lebanon. Syria, that's Iran behind Syria. Jewish was pushing Palestinian people toward Lebanon, South Lebanon. America, we don't know. We don't know. We did not know who's with us and who was against us. And they play with us in Lebanon, small country. They make it like a soccer ball. Everyone kick it different way. And they make it look like it's, it's our stupidity. We don't get along with each other. But it wasn't like that. It never been like that before. Lebanon, very small country, not powerful. Because big country, they have a power over a lot of different country. And they can share with each other what they want to do about this and that. Lebanon was in a situation, can't do anything. Have to accept what's happening to them. So I can understand how people not understand the situation properly. They hear the media, what they say, and we all believe the media. But when I went after 11 years, I learned a lot from my brother and my family and the news over there, what's happening.
So what you heard was different?
Different. Then my brother explained to me the media is with a different country. And what the media get paid better money, they do whatever they want, the other people. So we didn't have any opportunity to speak up for ourselves. So we take the blame, even when I'm in Australia, good country, and people don't judge here. When I say I'm Lebanese, they want to turn away from me. And just like really hurt. I always defend Lebanese because I know some people are bad, but we have to understand that when they come from Lebanon, they've been through a lot. So obviously it affects their mind. If they show their anger and this doesn't mean they are bad people. They have bad experience. So it's not fair to judge people if you don't know the truth. But it's difficult when you hear the news and we rely on the news. You don't know if it's true or not, but we take it as it's true.
Can't always believe what you hear. You have to question it and ask. It's important to show your interest in looking a little deeper, a lot of layers to it.
Exactly, good point. A lot of people interfere from other country. Lebanon was rich before, and they have petrol, and everybody want to put their hand on it. When the war started in the mid-70s or the end 70s, something like that, Lebanon have never found a peace. Lebanese people been suffer, and a lot of them die. A lot of them left the country since then, and still today, people still suffer, and make my heart ache for them. I used to think, they're bad manners and that, but I feel sorry for them. I really do, because I don't think so we can cope what they've been through. They have remarkable mind to put up with everything nonsense in this life, and sadness and cruelty, and they still surviving. But people these days had enough, because it's happened. Everything bad you could think of to happen in this life, it's happened in Lebanon.
It's just so sad, actually. Just talking to you now, it makes me realise how many times the Lebanese people have had to fall and rebuild again. I really hope Lebanon is restored again soon, Mum. But I'd like to move on to your time here in Australia. And when you came here, what brought you here?
When I met my husband and we came to Australia, I was alone. I couldn't speak English. It was difficult with my in-law, that they knew people. I didn't understand much the way I was brought up. There's some people Lebanese, but they were different. I live here. I like the country. And
How old were you when you came here?
16. I got married in Lebanon.
Dad swept you off your feet.
Actually, we eloped too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I repeat the history of my mom.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll do that too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So after you got married in Lebanon, you came straight to Australia to live
with
because Dad was already living here, wasn't he?
Yeah, his family was here.
He came here when he was 8?
Yeah, 11.
11? Oh, okay.
Yeah, his mum and dad was here, and his sisters and brothers, most of them here.
What brought them here to Australia?
My father-in-law wanted to, him and his brother-in-law, they decided to travel, and they came by boat and found Australia, so they live here for a few years, maybe by themselves, and then they asked for their family to follow them.
And you were 16, came by boat.
Yeah.
And started a life here.
Yeah.
And what was that like? Because you didn't know anything.
I did not know English, and I like learning. I was really good in my class. I was number one in my class.
Back in Lebanon?
Yeah, and I want to learn. I couldn't not accept myself not speaking the language properly here. So I started to ask questions. What's this called? What's that?
Were you working as well when you arrived here in Australia?
I didn't work straight away. Maybe I was 17. I work in tutor laboratory, which does a lot of equipment for the hospital, like a drip or like a needle and that. That was my first job. And then I stayed home for a while. When I had Tony, he was born in Lebanon, we came back, and then I didn't work then. Then I had Leanne when we moved to this place. At that time, when I took Leanne to the clinic center, I saw a sign on the board that if someone wants to learn English. So I called that number, and one English woman, she came home to teach me English. To teach me the alphabet, to teach me like a primary book. I get to know the beginning. After they put me straight away in advanced class in the college, but just to learn English. And I said, when the year finished, I want to continue. They said, your class is finished. If you have to go further, you have to go education, like do year 12, like HGC 11 and 12. So I thought of it. And at that time, I have 5 of my children. I start to mind some children, because I become daycare mother. When I think I become daycare mother before you went to school. And I waited for you to go to school, 4.5. And then I registered myself in the Meadowbank College. And I did like part-time. When you go to school, all of you, I go a few hours with daytime, and then I did the HEC, I passed, and I started to do a little bit courses. I did fashion and design, a little bit computer course, and lingerie course. I built up, I started to sew professional instead, did what I want to do. I want to technically finish the garment.
Great, you took initiative to make your life here.
Some people thought I was foolish after that age, after 5 children go to study. And I didn't care what they say. In my mind, I want to learn. I want to help my children in the school, whatever. If I can help them reading, help them with the maths, because my maths was good. So I didn't care. I did it for me and for my children. So a lot of people, I encourage a lot of people to go study. While you live in another country, you have to adapt to the country and the language, otherwise you struggle. And some like Arabic radio, they interview me. They say, we would like you to encourage people to study and not to think they're too old to learn. So they interview me, and I encourage everyone. I said, I have 5 children, I'm working weekend, full time. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So don't sit there and feel sorry for yourself and not learning the language. You're struggling like that.
You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah. A lot of people listen, and just good. Even my sister-in-law, the one she was making fun of me, the following year she went to study.
Oh, good. So there you go.
So encourage some people to do something.
Yeah. But sometimes some people just don't.
They're scared.
Yeah, they're not thinking about expanding, or they don't know how to.
Yeah, there's them. I think some people, they don't have the confidence to study and make fault if they say something wrong. They don't want to be laughed at. But to me, no one's perfect, and everybody can learn, and everybody can make mistakes, and we learn from our mistakes. So nothing can stop me to do what I want to do. So I think, in my opinion, no one's perfect. Everybody want to learn, they can learn.
Absolutely, you're never too old to learn. So what did you do after studying?
I was working the weekend at the college, St. Joseph College, and then after a few years they offered me to be supervisor, and because it's very convenient for me, I stayed there, and I'm still working there.
Mum, I hope you feel proud of yourself. Do you have any regrets that you can think of?
I don't know. I feel like I've done what I should have done. But there is a lot like people around you. You would wish that you are stronger in mind to go and do whatever you want, and not involved with these people who annoy you or stress you. That's all. But other than that, I really believe I did really well by myself here and my children.
Absolutely.
You learn a lot. You're much wiser than before, and you wish like you know before when you're young, what you know now. I've been blessed in a lot of ways with my thought, and I'm very calm, and I just like think before I act. And I'm very patient, don't get uptight straight away. I can, think about it, and when you come, you just, some reason you found the result. Or if they think you can't find the result for it, you accept it. Accepting things in life, that's my advice for everyone. Because make your life much easier. Even if it's like painful or anything, but say this life, I have to do it. I have to accept it. And you found it in the end is not a problem because you're accepting it. But if you fight it, it will continue hurt you. And there was one say, if it's a problem, big problem, you cannot find a solution for it. He said if you push it, it will bounce back to you. If you run away, it will follow you. If you accept it, you live with it as a friend. It is not more a problem. That's if you can't solve it. But every problem has solution.
That's a nice saying.
And I thought this one really get me through. They say, if you in hell keep walking, don't stand because you get burned. That's similar.
I love how we all have these sayings that get passed on. Do you have any more?
I have so many sayings because my mom, very, very wise woman, I used to hear her all the time when I was little, and I used to think, oh my God, for heaven's sake, what my mom carry on with, it's really nonsense. What she's saying doesn't mean anything. Why she's saying it? But as I grow older, like a woman with 5 children, I remember her saying, and I'm using it, and then I used it and really helped. My mom used to say, stretch your legs as far as the carpet goes. Because if you go further, you get cold feet. So what it means really is spend what you can spend. Don't borrow money to spend something, not necessarily. That's some saying, it's really valuable. If you don't have this backup idea and saying, sometimes you use it to save yourself. Really important. Laughter, it's like, as they say, you cry alone. When you laugh, the whole world laughs with you. So you make a joke. For example, to make people laugh, we used to get like a bucket and make it like a drum, and we make a music and we sing and people laugh. They forget their problem. And sometimes I dress up like a man and I put like mustache, and then the people get shocked. And then when they found out it's me, we were laughing. It's just like I'm always have fun with my friend, with my family, with anyone.
So important. And with all your experience, what's the biggest change you've seen in your life so far? I'm sure there's many, but from the top of your head, what do you think?
It's a lot change. We gained some and we lost a lot. But there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of confidence that you don't have when those days. Don't have confidence. If you done something wrong, you don't want anyone to know. These days, you don't care. I done wrong, everybody else done wrong. Yeah, there's advantage and disadvantage in past and in now. You learn from that, and it's good if you learn from the mistake that people done or you did. Why, the life carry on, you carry on with it. You go with the flow. The social life is very, very demanding on everybody. I see the greed and selfishness, and like it's always this generation grow, it's me only, that they just care about themselves and that's it, what they want, what they need to do. But I see in majority of a lot of people, they uptight, stressed, they don't count till 10 before they speak the word and then hurt other people's feeling. And I'm seeing that and I'm thinking the different. I never want to hurt anyone's feeling, and I'm thinking about my word before I spit it out. I don't like to see people, they don't give each other a chance to speak, explain what they meant. Some advantage and some disadvantage. Now you can stand up for yourself. If you get someone to push you around or something, which is good, because it doesn't matter you're rich or you're poor, you can stand up for yourself, and there's a law.
Definitely. But you bring up a good point. We've become so consumed with things, doing and achieving, and sometimes we forget what's important. We could go on and on about this, but in summary, what advice can you give to our listeners?
Live happy and do what you need to do, what you want to do without regret, and think about it before you do it, and if it's right to do it. And it's just don't hold a grudge toward anything. And forgiveness. If you forgive, you'll get along with your life. But if you hold a grudge, you just It sits there in your mind.
Hold you back.
Yeah. The saddest thing about this life, we work. We don't think to look after ourselves, and then, boom, you wake up, you're getting old, and you use all your energy, and you ache, your body ache all over the place. That I think if the people take care of their health when they're young, not use all the energy. As I remember now, my mom just said, save your strength for your old age. And I could not ever understand what she meant. And now I understood, because when I'm young, I use all my strength, and now I'm tired. You know, you get tired if you use it. If you use it wisely, you have your strength stay with you. You don't use it all. So that's good saying to keep it in mind. Save your strength for your old age.
I should remember that one.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Save your strength for your old age. That's a really good one.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
If people use it.
Yeah.
And before we wrap it up, here's a fun question. Do you have any secrets to keep you young?
There's exercise for your face. You can say A-O-E. That's really good for the exercise, your face.
Yeah, it is
Because
actually. It's very
think
good. Yeah.
If you do that exercise every day, maybe how many times you feel like, because you don't have to go anywhere, so it can be any time and anywhere. Because why they discover like the exercise keep, like you exercise your body, you keep strong, the muscles stay strong. That's what you need for the face, because the exercise for the face keep the muscle strong and doesn't sag. That's really one of the best thing. I accept my age because I think if you don't live and get old, you die young. So there's no other alternative except like you're getting old. My appearance is always important to me. I do my best to look my best. It's a work with me.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Mum, Jamal, thank you for sharing your stories. So, to all our listeners, if you liked what you heard today and would like to hear more from a diverse range of our elders, please go check out www.storiesfromtheelders.com for more details. I hope it's inspired you to go talk to your elders, find out more about them, ask the questions, and get your hearts full so you can take it with you into your journey in life. I'm Melinda Nassif, and until next time.